Spirit bird, she creaks and groans, she knows she has seen this all before. She has seen this all before. She has. Spirit bird, she creaks and groans, she knows she has.
Guys, I want to tell you all a little story. This ties into something I was saying not long ago. I don't know how I'll edit this video, let's see. But I am struggling with videoing the children. I try to do it as little as possible. First of all, once over, my relationship with the kids had a camera between me and the children. And this wasn't healthy, I found. I just didn't feel healthy. My exposure's messed up on the camera, sorry. It wasn't healthy. Now, I decided to try and do it less and see if I could still do what I was doing. And it works. People still support the work. They still see with less filming of the children exactly what we're doing, and they still get it. They still see the importance, and we're still expanding and growing, whereas many charities and such are not. And we're doing well because of the fact that we're having a good social media presence. Now, it doesn't mean that we're any more godly or anything like this, and God's answering our prayers better, because other persons are praying equally as hard as we are. But here's the problem you have, and I know this from my own life. I once put down my camera, and I put it down and I said, from now on I'm not doing YouTube videos. This was a while ago. And some of you will know this story who've been with me a long time watching the channel. I put it down in the morning, and come the afternoon, a lady who I don't know, I've never met, from New York, contacted me and said, I have a brand new Sony HD Handycam, and it's sitting in my drawer and it's not doing any work whatsoever. And I think it would be better off with you, so I'm going to send you it. And she posted me this brand new camera. And this was on the morning where I very sternly said, I'm not doing these videos anymore. I'm not doing it. And he sends me a brand new camera that afternoon. And this is how God told me, no, you will do this. You will be present on YouTube. You will have a voice inside social media. And now I'm a little older, I understand what was going on, because God operates via light. In this current age, we are in a different time to even 15, 20 years ago. Maybe even 5 to 10 years ago. Times are different. And by that I mean everybody is using tablets, smartphones, everybody's absorbing false light, as I call it. Manufactured light, not God's light, manufactured light. And if the person putting that light in doesn't have God, if they are just doing it for profit, or entertainment or distraction, or other more sinister reasons, as we see happening with the media, then people can't hear God. And God uses people to answer prayers most of the time. And thus, people have become trapped, imprisoned away from God. God communicates via light, and they're absorbing a light which is predominantly, in the most part, created to distract, which is predominantly, you would describe or label as Luciferian. So, if someone using the false light, as I am now, I'm using the false light matrix to communicate with you. If that person doesn't have God and they just want profit from you, they become your God, which is a very dangerous thing. They can distract you, they can poison your children's brains with computer games and all of this stuff, and movies and so on and so forth. Now, if the person coming into the false light, is what I've come to learn, has at least some communication with God. I hear God, you know, we all hear God. Sometimes people get so close to God they think that God is just theirs and it's nobody else's, and it's not the case. God communicates and he's there for all of us. But I hear God a lot, and I spend time in his light as much as possible. I don't watch movies, stuff like this. I don't do it. I'd rather go and sit here, even just under a tree, and absorb the glory around me that is God's garden. But when I do that, God has an opportunity to send to me his light. And on that light, scientifically proven, are angels, photons that carry information, light particles that carry information, messengers of light. So, if in this current world we want to serve God, you have no choice whatsoever, from what I've seen, unless you're preaching, perhaps even if you're preaching as well. But you don't really have a choice but to be present inside that digital matrix, because God can't communicate with people who don't see his light. And people spend the vast percentage now, today on this planet, in the false light matrix. And that's not God's light. And thus, there is another God controlling them. And it's not the God that wants this place to be built, etc. So, the God that does want this place to be built directs me to do what I do. And I'm trying to find the fine line between it, because I don't want a relationship with a camera between me and the children, which I discovered a long time ago. But at the same time, I don't want to give too much of their privacy away. And you don't hear most of the stories. You know, there's a lot of abuse and stuff when children come in. They've got horrendous stories, and you hear snippets of it. But it's not like I put a child's face and say, hey, look, this is what happened to that child. They were raped and whatever. I don't tell you which children are sick with this, that, or the other, you know. I try to keep the privacy as best as possible, but I'm learning, you know. I've been thrown into this situation without really having a chance to prepare for it, so I'm learning as I go at the same time. But that's how God kept me in YouTube, and that's how I began to understand because of that. Why? Because now I understand with all my heart, in the fullest of ways. I can see reality as it is. And reality as it is, unfortunately, the children that we help can only be helped by God answering prayers, who can answer them via people. And those people, predominantly, who might normally be able to hear him, can't, because they're too busy caught up inside the false light matrix. And thus somebody needs to take this reality into the false light matrix and give a good dose of reality to people, because that can then compel their hearts, and it can make them turn away from the false light and go, wow, that's terrible. And at that moment, God can reach in and say, then do something. And that's how it works. That's the process of being a messenger or being a worker of God in this modern day time. In the most part, I have no option but to do what I do. And all of us are going in that direction as well. That's the way of the world now. It's a digital era, and it's a dangerous time if we don't go with it, because more and more people will just end up completely segregated from God if people who know God don't go into that matrix themselves. So, that was all. Anyway, God bless, guys. Bye.